Wir freuen uns, dass wir einen weiteren Vortragenden aus Karlsruhe dabei haben. And the special case will be that he is going to present his Science Slam in English. If you have any questions afterwards, you can also ask them in German. We're gonna figure this out, or you can explain something in German or we translate, so we'll be all set.
Ich schreibe jetzt erstmal auf Deutsch vorstellen, aber es dauert 30 Minuten.
Und dann haben wir hart verhandelt und gesagt, so nee, ist nicht.
Okay, super.
Du bist bereit?
Ja.
Gut, seid ihr bereit?
Ja.
Seid ihr bereit für den zweiten Vortrag? Auf die Plätze! Science Slam!
So, hi, my name is Eugenio. I was a research engineer at Bundesanstalt für Wasserbau in Karlsruhe, and for all my life I've been the computer guy. For friends and family, I was the one fixing everything. That's me. I received questions. I had to fix smartphones, and I was also requested to fix a washing machine and to install Google on a computer. This was how I see that guy now. Okay, so work with computers to the title of the presentation, which we will see in a few minutes. You will master everything, so you can start working on the field from tomorrow. A little context. The whole work was done within this consortium. Especially, I worked in these two institutes, which focuses on this water simulator. So this is a software simulating water. Simulating fluids actually, so there is even lava here. And the first thing you're gonna do with the research is give motivation. So why do we want to simulate fluid? And why did we spend your taxes? So that's the question. So this little guy was my first motivation. This is the Etna volcano in Sicily, well, about 200 kilometers far from where I'm born. And since it's a volcano, sometimes it's erupts lava, luckily not pyroclastic, which means I'm still alive, so it does not explode. And sometimes the lava arrives until up to a building. Now, you might wonder who the hell thought it was a good idea to build stuff on a volcano. And this is a legit question, but actually sometimes the lava goes up to the valley, so that's not only reckless people. And national security wants to know, okay, when there is a new eruption, where will the lava go exactly? Because it can open in different places so that they can evacuate the right city. This is another motivation which I met in Karlsruhe. So this is a dam in a river, and you might know that some fishes like salmons need to swim upstream in the river to go and reproduce. Now, what do they do if there is a dam? They cannot jump the dam, so we are so kind, we build these structures, and they are designed to reduce the current so that the fishes can swim upstream. So they can reproduce, we kill them, and we eat them. I saw too many waves in my word. This is a shiplock, and why do we want to simulate water in a shiplock? Because we want to fill it fast for economical reasons, but not as fast to crash the ships into the wall and kill people. So we want to test how fast we can fill it. And there are a lot more motivations, but I didn't have the picture, so please use your fantasy. Just trust me, there are a lot of other reasons. So it's easy to simulate water, right? We are used in television and movies and games to see excellent water, which looks really realistic. You can even simulate this in real time with your smartphone, and you see this awesome pool. The problem is this is not actually realistic. And I tell you a secret, the main reason is incompressibility. Water is not compressible. When you see it in movies and in games, it's a little bit compressible. So what you see is looks realistic, but actually it is not. And when you want to simulate lava and other stuff, there are also other reasons for that. Usually you need incompressibility, which makes everything more complex, more difficult. And this is how in science you see water simulations colorful, because scientists want to know everything about a single particle, a lot of properties, so you will never see a transparent water in science, basically. Now, does it match reality? This is a very important thing, and this is the proof that a PhD in computer science is not enough to embed videos correctly. Okay, this is a practical experiment in laboratory, and this is a water simulation, and if water is not compressible, is not much compressible, they will basically match, and this is what scientists want to see. Okay. I have to give the focus again, I guess. Okay, so this was another simulation which was done at a university in USA, and another good sign for realism is when you see phenomenon, which were not programmed into the software. So this phenomena just popped out because the waves were realistic. Or this kind of phenomena, these horizontal vortices, which were seen in some simulations. Little break. Okay. So how do we actually simulate water into a computer? Not like this. There are mathematical models. There are two classes of models. The Eulerian models. Basically, we divide space and we count how much water is in each little section. This was an old lava simulation done with an Eulerian model. This is from the section. Or there are Lagrangian models, which are models which divide the fluid in pieces and then they track the single pieces. They are more expensive, but they are more powerful. They require a lot of computations. Now we are going to break through the equation in detail to see how do we get from the Navier-Stokes equation to SPS equations. Any objection? No? No engineers? This was a joke, because they are Maxwell equations for electromagnetism. Yeah? Of course, you were too shy to say it. Okay. Actually, these are Navier-Stokes equations, but okay. All this stuff, after a lot of other formulas, then you get the final formula, which is this, basically. And this tells you that when you want to compute a value here, you want to smooth the value around all the neighbor particles. That's why it's smoothed particle hydrodynamics. So you know half of the title now. But that's enough with math. So don't worry, this is enough, was enough also for me, because this was an input for me. Remember, I'm the computer guy, I'm not the math guy. So the formula was just something that I had to implement. There was a software already, I just made it parallel to work a little faster. The only thing we didn't do was collision detection, because this was done with the external software. And we want simulation fast. If you know this lot, you are a funny person, or your children. How do we make simulation fast? Well, we can use GPUs. This is an example of how the GPUs were used in 30 years. Actually, there were almost no GPUs right here. This is the same game. Well, this is the sequel of the game. And you can imagine how many computations are needed, especially in the last episodes of the game. And I would like to thank thank all the gamers here and around the world who played 3D games in the last 30 years or bought a GPU, because you made the computational power of the GPUs increase and the market price go down. So thank you, you had the research, you didn't know this maybe, and the GPUs are good to make a lot of things in parallel, they are good to simulate a lot of particles. And now a supercomputer with the 3 GPUs costs less than 1,000 euro. Maybe less, because I recycled this slide from 5 years ago, so probably nowadays it costs even less. So this was just a few years ago. This, I think we can skip just how to use multiple GPUs simultaneously. This brings more challenges. Okay, this was another break. This is a product I recommend, dehydrated water. You add water, you get water. It's really okay, so now a few applications. So, real life applications. This is a fish bus. We already seen this in real life. We want to know if this current is too strong so that fishes can swim or not. But it's not too strong for this fish, but maybe for others it is. This was a very interesting test case. This is a device generating energy from waves. So there is a pendulum here, a heavy pendulum, and with the waves it swings and it produces energy. And what we want to simulate is we want to know if with some waves of some strength it will flip. Now let's do a test. Will it flip? If you know this guy, you are probably a sick person, but I like. So, what do you think? Who thinks that this will flip? Who thinks it will not flip? Who doesn't care, wanted to be somewhere else? That doesn't sum up, okay. Here was the simulation, this was just a test with water sent down to the ground. Yes, it flips. Okay, so we know we don't have to build €1 million device and fail miserably in water, okay? So this was the meaning of the simulation. Okay. Okay, second, this was a small problem we had. We could simulate just primitive shapes, so boxes, spheres, cylinders. We wanted to simulate a ship, so we had to implement a way to load a 3D model, any 3D model, any 3D mesh from file, not just primitive shapes. Danke, Heiko. And what does every sane person do when you can simulate arbitrary shapes? Anyone? You? shower a monkey. So yes, this was the very first simulation of GPSPH with some arbitrary shape. Okay, this was a very interesting problem. We had an explosion in water. I'm no physicist, but I think this is not normal, right? And long story short, in the end, it was due to reduced accuracy. Some particles were overlapping. They pushed each other too much, and there was an explosion. And any programmers in the room? Any developers? How do you solve an issue when you have a problem with accuracy? You use double. Exactly. This is something every programmer did in his life, right? For people who don't understand, this was hilarious, okay? Just trust me. But after some point, after you increase the problem size, then you hit the same problem again, and then you say, okay, I will use proper techniques instead of double. Okay, and then we could fix it, and let's abbreviate this. This was how we fixed it. This was important, but okay, this is the last video. Even if you are not a hydraulic engineer, you might notice a detail here. This is a big ship, 70 meters in a ship lock. You might notice something now. It's a tiny detail. Yeah? Okay, I guess you noticed that. Thank you. The problem is that, okay, the barycenter was not set properly. I tried to summarize, and after we set the barycenter properly, everything was fine because the ship was pitching a little too much, collision detection was disabled, there was positive feedback, okay. But just to say, trust me, this was the simulation when it was everything's fixed and everything was fine. Okay, I think we are almost done. Okay, no, this was just ignore that. Okay, take-home lesson. Simulating fluids realistically is hard. Computer scientists do not fix smartphone, okay? Do not install Google. I just wanted to remark this. Gaming... I see particles. Gaming helps the research, so if you have a son who spends 10 hours on a 3D game, buy him a new GPU, okay? A more powerful one. He helps the research. Be careful with inertia when you design a cargo ship, and computer science is really, really funny.
Thank you very much. Nein. Gibt es Fragen im Publikum? Okay, ich sehe keine. Wenn ansonsten gleich noch einer eine Frage blickt, bitte kurz quieken, dass ich es merke.
Alles super klar.
Nein, welche Rolle spielen eigentlich bei deinen Simulationen Messungen? Also vergleichst du es dann auch immer mit realen Messungen, deine Modelle, oder checkst du die Modelle erstmal nur theoretisch?
Also mein persönlicher Bereich war nur in der Implementierung, aber ich habe eine Ex-Kollege hier, die hat viele Messungen und Vergleichungen gemacht. Bela, ja, diese, ja, so, ja, spielt eine wichtige Rolle, aber nicht für mich persönlich.
Okay. Ansonsten noch eine Frage aus dem Publikum hier vorne.
Hallo.
Hallo.
Ja. Wie ist das jetzt zum Beispiel, ich weiß nicht, beim Ätna oder so, wird sich dann wirklich auf so eine Simulation verlassen, wenn der ausbricht, ob ein Dorf evakuiert wird oder nicht? Oder ist es einfach auf Erfahrungswerten?
Ja, so kann ich auf Englisch antworten. Ist ein bisschen okay. The aim was to make real-time forecast to know which city to evacuate. But what it was used in the end was to make a stochastic, risk map of the whole area, so that when a vent opens, you know already where is the risk. So a similar model was used to make many simulations, to make many possibilities, and in the end to understand where it was more risky to live. So yeah.
Okay, dann keine weiteren Fragen mehr. Vielen herzlichen Dank, bitte nochmal einen Riesenapplaus.